Hey everyone, welcome to the Konveyor community meeting for February 19th, 2026. My name is Dylan Murray. I will be the host today. I will skip the welcome new people. I see all friendly faces. I only had one thing for a demo section that I wanted to call out, some work that Shveta has done, which is enhancing our community dashboard, which I guess I should also call out if you've never seen this. We have a nice like community health project dashboard that tries to like basically show off what's going on across all of our components. And Shveta has put some work into adding a separate testing pane, which will show basically historical trends around our test results. It takes a second to load. So I should not have clicked something else a second ago. Shveta, I don't know if you have this loaded already. If you don't,
I can share my screen.
oh, that'd be awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I'll turn over to you.
Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
So yeah, this is how it looks. It shows as of now data for two UI tests only for the main branch and the release 09 branch. And the tests are in sync. So total tests ran, passed, failed, and known bugs. And it shows two charts as of now. So the bug, if it has gone up or down, and the test pass in the last 10 runs. And there are links to the last 10 runs. You can also navigate to the run. It will take you to the last run and you can drill down. So this is all for now. I am planning to add Conquer and CLI and API test data also to the dashboard. You need to provide GitHub token to view the result. So that is all for now. Any questions, any improvement, enhancement ideas?
Yeah, Pranav, good.
Yeah, this is great. How's the known bug failures? Like, how are we capturing that data?
So we mark our tests with a known pattern, bug,
Okay.
and then that is red.
Okay.
There are 35 are failing, 19 are known bugs, and the rest we still have to investigate or their automation fixes.
Okay. Very good.
For some context that might be helpful, these UI tests, we never had the full suite running in GitHub Actions before, just because of some resourcing constraints. So we always kind of lag behind when these actually would get tested against like the main branch, for example. So known bugs is like, hey, we know this is incorrect behavior. We're writing a test case for it. Now it needs to go get fixed. I think in the future, I'd like to see that known bug count be almost zero, as obviously along with the failure thing. But we've been doing a bunch of work. When we started this, I think Shveta can maybe give me the real number. I think it was in the 90s of like actual failures. So with the last sprint, obviously the goal was to get these things up and running on a nightly basis, and we're slowly just churning down the failure count, which is good.
Nice. Yeah.
So this is awesome. Thank you, Shveta. It'll be really cool when we get the other tests integrated too. It kind of give us a good snapshot overview of where we stand on our supported releases and the development branches. So any questions for Shveta? Awesome. Thank you. And then next, I see Sean added something around concur end-to-end testing. Is he here? Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Sean.
Yeah. Let me try to present my screen. All right. So y'all can see the action running. Okay, so this is running out of my fork right now for CI to test the new Teckle Hub concur action. But I kind of wanted to talk through this just to, I'm going to add documentation for it, but just to give everybody an idea of where where I'm going with all of this, and just to level set, there's questions, send me at any time. So the first thing that I wanted to talk through is that in the new CI system that I'm kind of building here, all of the images for every test are going to be built for that out of the nightly, for nightlies are going to be built for that nightly. So what we're doing is we can look at something like, well, let's wait till level 2. But basically what we have is this matrix of tests. We have level 0 builds, which basically have no dependencies on other builds that happen in the system. We have level 1 dependencies, which have a dependency on some build that happens in level 0. And then we have level 2 and level 3. Basically what this is the base image for for one of the other levels is dependent on a previous build. And so we have the layering of images that we have to take into account. And in this new nightly, instead of using like our released images off of main, we're going to be building them ourselves off of main, while also changing go mod to point to the branch that we're running the nightly on. And we're going to be rebuilding all the images and testing all of those images out of that. I think this will eliminate a class of problems that we've been having around what images have what content, what images have been built off of what other images, what all of this wide range of things that we've been having in the end-to-end system, where like each project is responsible for building the image correctly to test the image in the end-to-end test itself. And so what I've also done is I have wrote a end-to-end workflow where you can give it like a repository. So you can run this out of Contra testing main. And if you run that guy, it will just see here. What it will do is it will actually find the repository that's being tested, rebuild all the images it needs to build to test that particular thing. In this case, Contra doesn't have to build anything besides Contra, but it does need to have the generic provider, the JTLS and a couple other things. And so instead of going and pulling the released thing, because that is inconsistent when we build and push to main, like sometimes it doesn't work right. We're actually using the last known good nightly. So what we'll do is we will try to download, hold on, I'm sorry. Build images. So what we'll try to do is we will so we're going to try to go and pull the base image for the particular tag that we're testing. We're not going to find it, so what we're going to do is we're going to go find the last good nightly run, and we're going to pull that image and use that image as the base image. And this is going to fix another class of problems, I believe, where a PR is merged in one repository that blocks the merging of other repositories when it probably shouldn't. So because now your end-to-end test is running off of the less known good nightly, you can be reasonably confident that a failure in the CI system for your PR will be because of your changes, because we know for a fact that the images you're using to test with have passed, besides the ones that you have changed. So it's a way to gain more trust in the system. Open to feedback and what people think about that, but that's what I've been thinking about. Yeah, so there's that. Let's go back real fast and see where we're at with the nightly. It's going to take a while to run, to build all the images. I think it takes for the nightly about 10-ish minutes. This is mostly because we have a lot of interdependencies that probably don't need to exist. So for instance, Contra pulls like a bunch of different images between Analyzer LSP, all of the providers, and then adds those binaries to that image. And it probably doesn't need to do that. It makes that image really big. It's like almost 3 gigs or something for the Contra image. This is the primary reason for this is the 1 gig of the Maven index thing that we have in the JDTLS, and that file alone is just it blows up the cost of things because we're building a bunch of stuff on top of that we no longer need to. So if we eventually get to the place where we change that will be good. But so if we look at, for instance, the external Java provider, we can see that it downloaded the JDLS server base and is now using that to build the new Java external provider. So all of the builds for the CI system are going to be in the CI system. You'll also be able to go and download and load any one of these images that was built in the CI system and run it yourself. So you'll be able to run the test locally with whatever you are testing. So you'll be able to get that image. It's not going to be on something. And these images for nightlies are going to last like 5 days or so. And for an end-to-end test, they'll last for a day. Just to keep the cost of stuff reasonable. What other thing do I want to show? So, when you're debugging the concur tests, we are able to output some things into artifacts for you to download. Where's my summary? Doesn't have, yeah. So we have these summaries here, which will tell you a high level of what was tested and what the output is going to be, or like what passed or what failed. In this test, these passed, so that's all we get is a summary. When these tests fail, you also get the concur output directory here, which has all of the logs for all of the tests that ran, and you'll be able to look through those to debug anything that's happening. What else do we need to know? For the this is failing right now because I am trying to test with the PR, and I didn't put the right ref's name in there, so it's not going to run. But we can look at this one that passed. For the Tackle Hub run, we can see it took 18 minutes for us to run this. And what this does is it will, it basically sets up a kind cluster. It goes and pulls all of the images that are needed. It will load those images into the client cluster. It will install Tackle, overriding the images to use the loaded images by using environment variables. And then you'll run the concur test against Tackle Hub. It will use the images under test, and you should be all good to go. One thing to note is that we have a system in place to serve our private corporate dependencies in the CI system, so that we don't have to rely on an external GitHub token or an external Maven package registry. And this allows us to not have to like either hard code some token or do something like that. We're able to serve that internal corporate dependency thing in the CI system itself, and that gives us the same behavior, same test, just we don't have to hard code things. I guess real quick, I can show the example of this test and how it's run. So I have in Concur a PR, or I'm sorry, in Contra a PR. I know you can't see my screen or see my changes. Just give me a second. I'm just getting the link. So to run this action, all you need to do is have this uses. Once this gets merged into Konveyor CI, you'll change this from my repo to Konveyor, but you basically call this with the secrets inherit, and that's all you need. The end-to-end action will take care of building the correct images. It will take care of setting up the test. It'll take care of running the test. It'll do everything that it needs to do. So this is all you're going to have to do. Because like I said, the system is going to be building the images and all of the stuff for you. You don't have to worry about it. We have the knowledge encapsulated in the CI system of how the images need to be built and everything else. This does lead to a conversation that I brought up with some of the leads, but I'm going to be doing an effort to standardize the way that we augment and change the base image is for all of our image builds across the system to be using build args, so that we can standardize that and build and make that easy. Right now, I have a whole bunch of like hacks to get that to work right for every single image. It would be good just to standardize that. Okay, I think that's all I had to show. Does anybody have any questions, thoughts, concerns? Do we hate it? Any sort of feedback would be helpful. Like I said, I'll be getting docs together as I go, but
that's super cool. Seems really useful. No concerns.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. This is like this has been a long effort that has started like months ago, where we kind of all agreed that the way we were testing analysis was inconsistent and not up to snuff with what we really wanted. So I think this is going to bring a drastic improvement to our ability to catch analysis regressions moving forward, especially with the different ways that we can actually perform analysis across the entire community, right? Like there's obviously the hub, CLI, IDE. So this is awesome.
I will note that the Contra tests are running against Linux and Windows right now. They run, another thing is the CI system will build a manifest list image. So it builds for ARM and AMD 64. So the tests run against Linux on ARM, and then it runs against Windows on AMD 64. The Mac OS system is much too slow to run images. The restrictions in GitHub Actions is that the ARM-based macOS runners are unable to use container systems, basically, because they need a VM, and you can't run nested virtualization because all of those runners are VMs. So you have to use an Intel-based macOS system. Those are incredibly slow. I think Windows right now for like a Contra test takes like 20-ish minutes. macOS was taking like an hour or longer. So because of that, I've disabled macOS stuff until like we can do something not terrible. I think there's a world where when we move to running thing like fully local, with like sockets and stuff, we'll be able to re-enable the Mac tests for Contra. The Tackle Hub doesn't need to run on any other operating system because it's all inside of Kubernetes, and so we just run it on Linux. It's the fastest one. So the reason, though, just to give some background, the reason why those take so much longer on like Mac and Windows is because they don't actually come shipped with Podman or any sort of container system. So you have to download and install Podman and start the machine. And on Linux, it comes with an old version of Podman. So you don't have all of the features of Podman on that you would have on your machine. So if you do make changes to the system, just know that the Linux version of Podman is old. If you're looking through the docs, you have to look through the old versions of docs and try to find the right things. And they've made a lot of improvements that you don't have access to. So good luck. That was like a week of my life. So anyway, yeah. I'll be doing an effort to finish up this whole thing and get the Contra PR in. I'm going to work on getting the end-to-end into the Analyzer LSP repository. So I'll be testing all of the providers that built out of that, as well as the Analyzer LSP. And then, yeah, that's where I'm going next. If there's any questions, anybody wants to jump in, if anybody wants to help test or play with or whatever, just let me know. But this is what I've been working on, and yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Sean. Great stuff. This is gonna pay off tremendously. So. Okay, moving on. Did I share the right screen? I did. Wonderful. Okay, roadmap wise. So again, just a reminder, I brought this up last meeting as well, but it's important to call this out again. We are in a call for enhancements for 0.10.0. We haven't actually set a date for this yet because I think we're still determining the scope and priority of stuff. If you are interested in getting something into 0.10, now is the time to have an enhancement submitted. I linked at the bottom again. There's anything new since the last meeting. There's a few open enhancements that we're still looking for feedback on to determine if we want to include that in 0.10. If there's any questions, comments, concerns on that, please let me know. A reminder on 0.9.0. So we set the GA date for 0.9.0 for next week, so the 25th. There is a handful of open issues that we're just trying to shore up after the release candidate, which, actually I probably should have moved some of this up here. Sorry, because this makes more sense. So we did cut a release candidate. We still have a couple blockers and test fixes that we're trying to address still. So this is the 0.9.0 milestone board. The 090 milestone board is tracking the feature work, which is really tracking the testing of these features. So the features are obviously done. We have some open tickets related to testing that we want to include before we actually get the GA published. And then I think actually some of these are supposed to be kicked off. So I need to, we're going to kick this one, and then everything else looks legitimate. So there's 2 blockers that we're addressing, and then mainly just some test improvements before the end of next week. So sorry, I thought I was about to sneeze. If we address these and the testing pipeline's passing, we likely won't wait until the 25th. As a reminder about this, the release 09 branches are frozen unless you are fixing anything that's on this board. So please do not cherry pick anything in the release 09 branch unless it is addressing something that is on this board. Once we cut the GA, release 09 will be open again. Main is obviously still open, but we're frozen on anything else unless it's addressing these issues. Questions on 090 GA? Okay, I want to just call out some good news. So again, the last 3 weeks, kind of getting the sprint review topic, we've been really focused on testing. There's a lot of people that have been working on random things throughout the projects to improve the build process as well. This was the first time I've been able to just cut a release. It works the first time. It only took an hour, and it passed the test the first try. So, putting everything else aside, I know there's still stuff that we want to improve. That was a huge win for my own sanity. So we cut the release candidate off the release 09 branches. Seems like the release 09 tests are still stable and everyone's happy with that. There's still some work to integrate the Concur stuff there. But I was pretty happy about this. So I hope that we just have to cut one more release candidate with those 2 open issues fixed. And then we'll cut the GA once we have those additional tests in. So any questions on that? Okay, then I had one more discussion topic on V091. Again, I was just going to set this myself, but if there's any feedback on this, my plan was just set it for a month from 090. So essentially, I could probably even time it close to the next community meeting. I think we just want to get in the habit of doing regular Z streams, especially since we fixed the release pipeline. We have fixed the a lot of the test automation. I'd like to start cutting these way more frequently. I think with 08, we cut 1 Z stream over the course of like 3 months, which doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm going to get in the habit of making sure at least every community meeting, the last supported Y stream version has had some minor release pushed. So unless there's like any strong disagreements, I think I'll just set this for the next community meeting, which would be the 12th of March. And there's a milestone for this now. So if you have any work that needs to go in here, you have a place to triage it. Questions on the roadmap? Okay. I am going to do something slightly different for the sprint review, just because I don't want to pigeonhole a little bit here. Just high level accomplishments. We've been really focused again on the 090 bug fixing, and we've been focused on a bunch of automation improvements. So that's basically what's covered here is automation testing for all 3 teams. Only thing that's kind of interesting to call out, and maybe Fabian or David or Ian, would you like to just kind of give a little bit of an update on the spike that you guys are working on for the improving the agentic workflow within the IDE experience? Because I thought that was important to call out. That's not just testing and bug fixing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main work we're definitely doing there is moving to replace our sort of current limited agentic workflow orchestrator with Goose to provide more full-featured and responsive experience on that. And then and we've also got some experimentation going on in some other areas around planning and stuff like that that we'll see if come to fruition. So we'll probably talk about that stuff more in later calls. But the main thing we're working on right now is the Goose integration.
Awesome. Thank you. Hopefully that would be something maybe we could show off next meeting if everything, at least the progress you guys are making there. That'd be cool. Okay, I've linked the upcoming sprint boards. Again, just I'm going to focus on the high level bit here. There's still a few blockers outstanding for 090. There is enhancement reviews for 010. We are finishing up all these automation testing improvements that we're making and integrating them back in the release pipeline. So again, that's kind of the next steps that you heard from Shweta and Sean. And then the last thing that I have a discussion topic around is what I'm calling AI enablement. So we've started some of this work. Like I know Jeff's team has been working to get like the hub repos with some general state of Claude MD files and whatnot. But I have a topic for this at the end. Anything else I'd like to call out on the upcoming sprint? Okay. The AI enablement discussion. So there's a conversation that started, I think, before this, that I just want to call it a few things that are ongoing, and then kind of some stuff that we're targeting for next sprint as well. Savita had started this repository that I thought was interesting, because I know, like Maya and you also were working on a skill for the CI introspection, I believe, and updating the CI tests. I think it'd be cool if we all started sharing this stuff in a central spot. So like Claude has like a skills marketplace, which is just a glorified directory tree. We can have our own private version of that, which Savita started in the ecosystem repository here. So this migration stories skill was just her attempt to take, was Savita here? No, she's not. Okay. Essentially, how could you actually get like a migration story generated out of the analysis results? So this is kind of cool. I'd love to see us share more of these as you're building things that are useful for yourself. Just want to call this out if you didn't see this in Slack. We would love to get other people contributing skills that are useful within the broader Konveyor ecosystem. On top of that, some work that I think would be important for us to do is a discussion that Pranav had kicked off, which was trying to prevent AI slop and trying to prevent, well, AI is doing things that are against like best practices for what the maintainers are interested for the repos. So agents.md is like a pattern that Claude will follow, and Gemini too, and Codex, where essentially they'll read this, and these are like the instructions that it knows for every project that I load. If I want to submit a bug fix or submit a test or submit a feature enhancement, what do I need to follow to make this done properly? So every project that we own, we're gonna just do some work to enable this with an intelligent file. It shouldn't take you very long to just invest some time and effort into like what the best practices are for your repository, as well as any additional like information that would be useful when you actually come when Claude needs to go and fix things. I think to start with this, I would start more generic of like, for example, I've seen these before. All they start with is it's a Golang project. Here's some Golang best practices and like formatting decisions that we made. If you want to start there and just play with it to see how that improves your workflow, I think that's great. If you want to go down to the nitty gritty of like even giving it more technical instruction on how the packages are laid out, how API design works, test patterns, test frameworks, all that kind of stuff, I think you'll find that this will significantly improve your own workflow, and then you kind of get the benefit of anyone else that wants to contribute to the repository takes advantage of that too. So that started this conversation. There's another parallel conversation that came up about what about like cross-component knowledge? Because I think it's really common, especially with the testing work. If we're contributing test cases for an end-to-end suite, it would be useful for Claude to have knowledge of the entire Konveyor ecosystem. I probably should add a couple more things on this. My understanding of this, and I kind of want to have this as a discussion if people have other thoughts or ideas around this, is I think this kind of fits that idea kind of fits into Claude's memory management, right? So it might be useful if we as a community invest in a set of additions to a user's memory file, which you can put in like the home directory, home.claude, claudemd. That gives like a general outline and overview of Konveyor as a project and the different ways that we support analysis, what the goal and mission of Konveyor is, all that kind of stuff. Those are the thoughts I had. I just want to call this out that I think this is something that every team is going to focus on for the next sprint, of doing something in this to drive this this work forward. If you have thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, this is kind of the time to bring it up. Those are just my thoughts on AI enablement. So this is what I would do. I don't know if you guys have any different thoughts. If not, I guess we'll see how this goes and we can review this at the next community meeting.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I think it also could make sense for like the more architectural level stuff if we could have that like all documented somewhere, and then we can point to those links in our agents or cloud.mds so that they can pull that information from like a single source if we actually work to keep that source up to date, because there is a complex web of entanglements that definitely can make it hard for the agents to operate, like when you're doing anything that starts to cross the boundaries of a project.
Totally.
I think this is also a great place to have instructions around Concur added to, so everybody is basically helping him add like Concur tests with their PRs.
We should talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree to a certain degree. What I think that Concur probably should stay focused at the like high level end-to-end analysis testing layer. So if you are changing an analysis result, I think that you definitely should have an end-to-end test, or at least have a piece of the expected output testing the change that you made. And if it's not there, then you should add that. I agree with that. I don't know if every PR potentially necessarily needs it. So
Okay.
Does that distinction make sense to folks or no?
Yeah, that is exactly the kind of instruction I would see.
Okay,
going.
cool. Perfect. Sorry, then I will shut up. I'll just run.
Cool. No, thank you. That's it's a great point. Okay. Lastly, I just added this. I know Sean brought this up. I think we're opening issues to track this for next sprint too. We're going to bump everything to 125 for Golang. So pretty straightforward. Please don't put this back in the release branches. But the main branches, everything should go to 125. Concerns about that? I think 126 just came out too. So maybe we should slowly start integrating that too as we proceed. But
Actually, will we backport the Go bumps as they go out of security fixes to any of our release branches at any point, or no?
if they go out of support, yes.
Okay.
I'd prefer to be a little more cautious on the release branches there. But obviously, if it's out of support, yeah, definitely. This raises a large question. I don't know that we have like a documented support window for our prior releases. Maybe we do, and I haven't seen it. I don't know exactly, like release 08 for 0, I think we're on 0.82 now. I don't know if we've documented how long we intend to support that stream. That would also maybe tie into this conversation moving forward, but I'll look into that. That'll be a takeaway for me. So 124 is not at risk, and I think everything else is on 124 today. So
Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion on the enhancements? Anything else that people want to bring up and discuss? Okie dokie. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of the day.
See you.